How's it going, everybody? Joseph Reviews back again. I am back doing my MCU ranking again with Black Panther since it already came out. Now, some of you are probably wondering, I thought you were going to do a ranking video after all the MCU movies from 2018, after Ant-Man and the Wasp. I originally was going to do that, but since everybody is doing this sort of list after Black Panther, since this is the first Marvel film that's coming out in 2018, I thought, you know what, just go ahead, why not, and do it. Oh, and a quick shout out at the end of this video, but we'll see, this is going to be a two-parter video again because this series is getting bigger. So this is my ranking of all 18 MCU Marvel movies as of this point until when Infinity War comes out. Then I'll be redoing that to a 19. So, and so on and so forth. But you will see how it goes, because a lot of YouTubers are doing that now. Alright, now let's get that out of the way, and let's get on with the list. Coming at number 18 is a Marvel film. I thought this must be the most forgettable one, and I thought, yeah, I've changed my opinion on some of these recently, and unfortunately, it is now my least favourite Marvel film in the MCU. Thor: The Dark World. Wow, come on, I mean, yeah. Now look, none of these movies are bad. They're all from like 6 or 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. That's how I consider the whole series in general. No, there are no bad movies, by the way. Just from good to amazing, or fine, but whatever. And there's going to be some spoilers in this, so do not watch this, guys. If you don't care about spoilers, then be free to join. Anyways, Thor Ragnarok, no, Thor: The Dark World, sorry. Thor: The Dark World, this was the second film in Phase 2, and yeah, it just wasn't really my kind of Marvel film, I guess. Now, Chris Hemsworth still gives a great performance as Thor as always, and so does Natalie Portman and Tom Hiddleston as the Loki character, who sadly dies in this gets killed off in this movie, which, come on. He was like the best Marvel villain yet. Come on. And Christopher Eccleston, who plays the 9th Doctor in Doctor Who I think he's great in Doctor Who. I wish he could have done more in this show, personally. But as the villain, Malekith, he just was a very forgettable villain. So Thor Ragnarok, I give this like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. If you want to see more on this, check out my review. Alright, coming at number 17. Used to be my least favourite, and that is Iron Man 2. Now, the reason why I put this higher than Thor Ragnarok than I didn't used to is because, well, it's less forgettable than the Thor: The Dark World, but there are some pretty good things in this movie. You know, it's the first time where you get to see Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, which I think is a pretty cool add to the film. A lot of people say it adds too much to the Avengers, but that's not a bad thing in my opinion. But the villain, Whiplash, was pretty weak. Robert Downey Jr. still gives a great performance as Iron Man. And we also get to see, first time, War Machine as well. If you want to see more of my review again, check out my review. I give this a 7 out of 10. Okay, coming at number 16 is Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3 was the first film in Phase 2, Now, to be honest, this is not as forgettable as the other two. This is actually a pretty good one, actually. Iron Man 3. You have a pretty good director, Shane Black, who done The Nice Guys. If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. It's very funny. Robert Downey Jr. still gives a great performance as Iron Man. And War Machine's also good in this movie. But the villain wasn't my kind of villain as well. But if you want to hear more thoughts, check out my review on this. Okay, coming at number 15. Oh, and I give this a 7 out of 10. There you go. Coming at number 15 is The Incredible Hulk. Now, I know some of my friends actually like this movie, and that's pretty cool. I like it as well. I don't hate any of the MCU movies, like I said. But The Incredible Hulk, I feel like, wasn't the right Hulk for the MCU, as you see in the later films after this one. But Edward Norton was still pretty good Hulk, just not for the MCU, personally. It has pretty cool action in there, but this is actually a pretty good movie, I think. So I give this a 7 out of 10. If you want to hear more thoughts on this, check out my review. Coming at number 14 is Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, this is where we start to get into actual good stuff. But The First Avenger was the 5th film in Phase 1. The one nearest to the Avengers. Red Skull was a pretty decent villain. Not one of the best though. He's a pretty okay villain. But Chris Evans is pretty good as Captain America in this one. I like how he transformed to a skinny person into a proper superhero. If you want to hear more thoughts, check out my review. I give this an 8 out of 10. Okay, coming at number 13 is one of the ones that came out last year, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, I'm not one of those people that thought this movie was very disappointing. I actually thought this was a pretty good movie, Guardians 2. The soundtrack's pretty good, but not as good as the first one, which we'll get into later on. What I like about this one is that it shows the characters are more better in this movie, but the story wasn't as good, and some of the jokes weren't as good. But if you want to hear more thoughts on this movie, check out my review. But I give this an 8 out of 10. Alrighty, coming at number 12 is the first Thor movie. Yeah, Thor. Thor was pretty good, actually. This was the first time where you get to see Iron Man 2 had one of my favourite post-credit scenes, which lead on to this movie. And it was pretty good. Chris Hemsworth was very good as the Thor character. Natalie Portman was good in this as well, and Tom Hiddleston was great as Loki as well. But there you go. Check out my review if you haven't. I give this an 8 out of 10. Some of my opinions have changed from these in my reviews. It's just the thoughts. If you want to hear more, check out my reviews. They're on my channel. Alright, coming at number 11, which we all thought was going to be the end of Phase 2, but another movie came after this, which we'll get into after this one. And that is Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, Avengers Age of Ultron, I actually really enjoyed when I first saw it in the cinema. This was the one I saw it most times in the cinema, actually, because I thought it was actually really good. We get to see all the characters back. They're all great in this movie. We get 3 new characters into this movie. We have Vision, who was awesome, and Scarlet Witch, who was also awesome, and Quicksilver, yeah, who dies unfortunately in this movie. But to be honest, I didn't think they needed him in the MCU at all. I only thought he was needed in the X-Men franchise, personally. But oh well. The Hulkbuster scene, if you guys can see it, okay, right there. The Hulkbuster scene against the Hulk was was a pretty good fight as well, and I used to really like Ultron because he had like a Darth Vader voice to me, but to be honest, I think he's not as good as he used to be, but not a bad villain, just not as good as he used to be when I first saw Avengers Age of Ultron. I gave this an 8 out of 10. I changed it, spoiler alert if you haven't seen my review, I changed it from a 9 to an 8 out of 10 this time now. But still a good movie. If you haven't seen more thoughts, check out my review. Alright, coming at number 10. We're into the top 10 now, folks. Here we go. And coming at number 10 is the one that I mentioned. This was the last film of Phase 2, and that is Ant-Man. The reason why I thought this was going to be actually really good was because of Edgar Wright, the director of the Corner Out trilogy, Scott Pilgrim and Baby Driver, which are 2 movies which I know, guys, I know, I need to see those movies, but I've seen the Corner Out trilogy. Anyways, Ant-Man was a very good movie. Paul Rudd was very good as the Ant-Man character. And Michael Douglas as well was good in this as well. And the villain character, who I thought was really good as well. But if you haven't seen my review, check it out. I give this a 9 or an 8 out of 10, this one.